Hello, Molweni, Sanu, Hujambo, I'm Tembekile Mkhototo. Welcome to this week's edition of Unwrap Africa, where we focus on the latest news, trends and successes of the African continent. Coming up on the show tonight, we'll take you live to SABC News correspondent Efet Musekiwa, who's in Zimbabwe, watching the latest reaction to the arrest of the late former President Robert Mugabe's son in South Africa. And then we'll speak to Angola's National Director for Mineral Resources to hear how that country is changing its mining industry. Well, our question to you tonight is this. The AU is pushing South Sudan to go to elections this year. Do you think the country will be ready to hold the polls? We'll take your thoughts on WhatsApp. The number is +27 78 459 1897. Alternatively, you can find us on Facebook, where we are SABC Unwrap Africa, and on X, SABC News_TV. Let's have a look now at the main stories from the continent this week.
We just want the process to unfold. There's still a lot that needs to happen. We just want the police to conduct the investigation so that we can proceed with the matter.
The family of President Mugabe, the son of Zimbabwe's former president Robert Mugabe, have now issued a statement regarding his arrest in South Africa for alleged attempted murder. The family says all requests for comment are to be directed exclusively to their lawyers. Mugabe is set to appear in a South African court tomorrow. That's Monday. 38 people have been killed in a toxic gas leak at a mine in north-central Nigeria. The 26 others were hospitalized. The incident occurred in the Kampani Zurak community. It's located in the Wase area of Plateau State. More than 1,000 Kenyans have gone to fight for the Russian army in Ukraine. That's according to an intelligence report presented to Kenya's parliament. The report says that most of them were tricked into signing military contracts.
We're pleased to say that the C5 committee of the AU, supported by IGAD, has just met and has taken decisions that we do believe will take the country forward.
The African Union's high-level ad hoc committee for South Sudan is calling on the country's government to take urgent steps to create conditions for credible elections. This includes the possible release of political detainees such as the first Vice President, Dr. Riek Machar. A United Nations investigation into the fall of Al Fasher, a key city in Sudan's western Darfur region, has now found that acts committed during the city's prolonged siege may amount to genocide. The inquiry focused on events surrounding the takeover by Sudan's paramilitary rapid support forces. They seized control of the city in late October after an 18-month encirclement. And Ghana has slashed its farm gate cocoa rate paid to farmers. That's amid a drop in global cocoa prices. The move aligns the price with that of international markets to encourage more demand. Well, let's get you more on one of our main stories tonight. President Mugabe, the son of the late former president Robert Mugabe, being arrested in South Africa this past week. He's due to appear in court on a charge of attempted murder on Monday. The 28-year-old was detained alongside a man on Thursday following a shooting that was reported at a residence in Hyde Park, Johannesburg. The victim, we're told, is a 23-year-old gardener who was shot. Let's get you more on this. Bring in SABC News correspondent based in Harare, Efet Musekiwa. Efet, good to have you on Unwrap Africa. So speak to us about how Zimbabweans have been reacting to this news.
Good morning, Tembekile. Zimbabweans received the news with surprise that the son of the former late president had been arrested on attempted murder charges. The Mugabes of late have managed to stay away from media attention, save for some time last year when the same young man was arrested again on charges of disorderly conduct and carrying of weapons, but that happened here in Zimbabwe. So there was a bit of surprise. People thought he had actually reformed and that he had stopped his wayward ways. But officially, from officials, there's been no major reaction. Yesterday, people were anticipating that the state president, Emmerson Mnangagwa, would maybe to some degree speak on the matter, but during his address to the youths yesterday, he completely evaded talking about the matter. He's just focused on drug abuse and other minor issues that the youth in Zimbabwe are faced with. But the interesting thing is that the day that, or the commemorations that were held yesterday, were actually in honor of the late President Robert Mugabe. And, the anticipation was that he was going to talk about Mugabe's legacy, but the president evaded it all completely.
Also interesting to see effort that the Mugabe family, at least through its lawyers, has not commented on the actual allegations that Chatunga is facing, this charge of attempted murder, focusing more on basically calling out third parties that have been commenting, as per their statement, on the arrest. Why is the family not dealing directly, at least publicly, with the claims that he shot, allegedly, a gardener on the property in Johannesburg?
I think it's now the new modus operandi for the family. Recall that when they left power, Mugabe only had a couple of media engagements or media pronouncements. So they have stayed away from the attention. And even with the wife, she's based here, she's here. She's kept a very low profile. The whole family has kept a very low profile, save for these two incidences where their sons were arrested. Apart from that, they've actually tried to stay away from confrontation. They've tried to stay away from media attention. So I think it is their new way of operating. It is their preferred method of not speaking out or not venting out their anger or frustrations or anything that has to do with the family. A lot of the information that we get, especially of late around the family, is through appointed spokespersons, regular times or regular intervals where they choose people that can speak on their behalf. But of late, they've been quiet, stayed away from attention.
Effort, thank you very much. Effort Musekiwa, SABC News correspondent in Harare, watching news of Mugabe Jr.'s arrest, the son arrested in Johannesburg in the last few days. He's due to appear in court again on Monday. Well, Lesotho's Minister of Finance and Development Planning, Dr. Ratsirisitswe Matlanyane, has delivered her budget estimates for the fiscal year 2026-27 is under the theme Accelerating Economic Transformation, Building Resilience. The minister says that with the ever-shrinking government purse, the struggle to allocate resources has become a complex balancing act.
It's a dark, heavy cloud covering the kingdom. The Minister of Finance, the struggle to juggle limited resources is a tough balancing act. The 2026-27 budget estimates aims to accelerate economic transformation while building resilience well ahead of the upcoming tough times.
With the hammering that I've been doing, I see results. And if anybody says no, tell me that Lesotho is the same today as it was in 2022. It is not. It's because of persistence. It's because I continually urge ministries to actually implement what we said we will do. It is because the Prime Minister does the same, continues to pester, continues to urge, continues to push to have line ministries do what they're supposed to do. We continue to push the community, the private sector, everyone, to do what they're supposed to do. The transition of this nature is never easy. It is never sweet. There are going to be difficult times until we come to some kind of a normal or a new normal or a new economic order. We don't know what's going to happen yet, but we know things are not going
To this expert, COVID-19 taught many small economies like Lesotho to be more productive as a survival means, but many good initiatives were abandoned soon after the pandemic.
During COVID, you couldn't buy from outside. I don't remember people that died because there was no food. A lot of us started producing. And there's always an increase in demand for production. For example, I like the fact that a lot of people are now going into poultry, they're now going into farming. We now buy locally produced goods. So that means we're actually there.
Kwatsa further says Lesotho's economy relies heavily on South Africa's performance and how it responds to its macroeconomic policies.
Looking at South Africa, they are looking at minus 1.4% growth in 2026. No, they are looking at 1.4, not minus 1.4. So we have the heightened trade tensions. We have the tariff wars. Right now, we are in a space where you are not sure what will happen tomorrow. We have geopolitical shocks, and everybody is looking at what they can get and what they can retain. And technology-driven productivity is what we've been talking about. And I think this is where we are still way behind.
The private sector has also recommitted to doubling up its efforts, working side by side with the government in order to enable progress in project financing.
We are here to enable progress. We are thriving economic transformation by supporting small and medium enterprises, the heartbeat of our economy, giving them access to capital, mentoring and digital tools that help their business grow.
And Lesotho having declared a national state of disaster to youth unemployment, a total of 124 million rands has been allocated as the budget in an effort to intensify its strategic partnerships with all stakeholders to address the persisting unemployment crisis. I'm Rapelang Khatebe for SABC News, Masego Lesotho.
Rapelang's report brings us to our question of the day on Unwrap Africa tonight, and we're asking you about the AU's push for South Sudan to go to elections this year, and if you think the country will be ready to hold free and credible polls. Let's look at what you're saying. Gamo simply says, not ready. One more from Kane says, is the AU capable of anything, let alone pushing? Semakata says, till South Sudan stops hiring the terrorist organizations of Museveni and Kagame, Rwanda refugees, into your political space, you won't have peace and development. So that's a serious allegation there being made in relation to the upcoming polls, hopefully, in South Sudan. Dur says that for elections to proceed, those in trials must be released to complete the peace agreements. Then elections can happen peacefully. Well, that's how it's looking in terms of your responses to our question of the day here on Unwrap Africa. When we return, we look at Angola's plans to keep growing and reinventing its mining industry. Stay with Unwrap Africa. Thanks for staying with Unwrap Africa. Angola is determined to take its mining industry to the next level through collaboration with businesses from other countries on the continent, including South Africa. Well, we recently spoke to Dr. Paulo Tangana, Angola's National Director for Mineral Resources, on the sidelines of the Africa Mining Indaba held in Cape Town. Let's start first with Angola's offering at this year's Mining Indaba and what exactly the goals and objectives have been for your country.
Morning, thank you for this opportunity. Well, for this Mining Indaba, the focus of our government is to demonstrate the geological potential and the legal institutional framework that we have in Angola, which is very friendly for the investors. We brought some greenfield areas that will be promoted, as well as some brownfield areas. At the same time, the strategy for this year is to have a mix of major companies like Anglo America, Ivanhoe, to have a discussion in the panel, as well as some minors or juniors companies. Some of them are South African companies and some are Angolans. The strategy is to demonstrate that in Angola there is space for big companies as well as for small or juniors companies.
And Angola, some experts have said, is in fact under-exploring its mineral riches. When you look at what you've got in terms of diamond wealth, etc., where are you looking to most in bringing in these multinationals, the South African companies, for example, in this collaboration? Does it target that issue of under-exploration?
Yes, there are targets. We are focused in diversifying the production of mineral resources in our country. Traditionally, we are used to have diamonds and dimensional stones as the major commodities being produced. But now we already started with the production of iron ore, manganese, copper, niobium, phosphate, which are considered by other countries, those that are well industrialized, they are considered as critical minerals. There is high demand in the market for those minerals. Therefore, we are going to promote areas where there are a very high geological potential about these minerals.
So in doing that, Dr. Tangana, how do you balance the wealth or the goals of the government, the mining companies who obviously come in with the aim of making a profit, with the constant refrain from many mining affected communities that at the end of it, there's no real benefit for citizens? So how do you make sure that Angolans also get a share of the spoils and they benefit from all of this?
Fortunately, our legal framework in Angola is very clear and easy to follow. Before we assign mineral rights to a company, being international or national companies, we negotiate a mineral investment contract. And within that contract, there are some commitments that the company provide close to the government. For example, the social responsibility that the company must undertake so that we can improve the social and economic situation of the people that are living around the mining projects. Also, the companies are committed to improve the skills of technical or technicians from Angola, as well as the transfer of knowledge as well technology. So just to say that it's a balanced relationship, it's a win-win approach relationship that the investors, they generate wealth, but the country gains through tax payment as well as by improving the social economic conditions of our population and improve the skills of our professionals in Angola. And in that benefit, how do you factor in issues like the increasing mechanization of the mining industry, the introduction of technology? Because what it does, in effect, is that sometimes work is taken away from less skilled people in these African countries that are mineral rich and have depended on the industry for the creation of jobs. Of course, we are connected with innovation. We are continuously improving our mining sector so that we can reduce the operational costs and diminish the number of jobs creation. However, based on the social responsibility of the companies, they are responsible to create social projects that employ the low-skilled population for like agriculture, construction, and many other projects that require not well-qualified people, so that those that live around the mining project, they can benefit from these small projects that are promoted by mining operators, as well as with the monitoring strategy that our government has to follow the implementation of this strategy. Speak to us more then about the mining relationship, because that's the context of our discussion this evening, the mining industry relationship between Angola and South Africa. You mentioned that there are companies from here that have an interest in working with the Angolan government and the Angolan mining industry. How big and how strong of a relationship is that? We in Angola, we first consider our national interest as well as the international interest. But when it comes to African country, the treatment has to be different, because as Africans, we are just one. We have a lot of South African companies operating in Angola as mining operators, as well as in the supply chain sector. The relationship is good. And South Africa is well advanced in mining. So we are learning a lot from South African companies. We are building skilled South African companies. During the Angola Day Business Forum, we are going to have junior miner companies from South Africa, which that is going to talk the experience they have working in Angola, which is positive. In conclusion about this issue, is that our relationship is good, and there is still room to grow further.
And last year, I remember there was talk when there was an announcement in terms of Angola's plans to position itself as a leader, global leader in the mining industry. The moment was described as a renaissance of sorts. How much ground has been covered since then, and what does the future then look like in the more immediate and the longer term?
Well, in a more immediate way, we have got some diamond projects that were under prospecting activities, but now they are getting into production. So that takes us to increase the production of diamonds. Last year, we produced about 17 million carats, which position us to be the third largest producer of diamond in Africa. But Angola is still unexplored ground. Our geological potential continues to be high. It's the only country so far where we are identifying tier 1 kimberlites. Very soon we are going to open another big kimberlite mine for diamonds. Compared to other countries around the world, even specifically in Africa, we are in advantage in terms of geology. In the long term, we are planning to diversify the production of mineral resources. We just reinitiated the production of copper again since the colonial time. There are a lot of projects under prospecting that will deliver positive result in 5-7 years for iron ore production. The good news that Angola it will be the only African countries to produce niobium by next year, which means that our strategy to diversify our mineral production is going well. And based on our geological potential, there is still a lot to be discovered, and surely we are going to be a hub in terms of mineral production in Africa.
Dr. Paulo Tangana, National Director for Mineral Resources in Angola, really a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Well, as we make our way towards the end of tonight's edition of Unwrap Africa, this week our producer Nonhlanhla Mthembu has spent some time with artist and music coach Drum People on the preservation and commercialization of African beats, instruments and history. Here's part of that conversation.
I'm originally from Ghana. I've been here for the past, when I say here, I mean South Africa, for the past 18 years. I studied African music as my major at the University of Education, Winneba. I majored in African music because it's who I am. I'm an African. We are very casual about music sometimes. It's about time we commercialize it properly and we know what we're doing with it, you know, so that it can also take care of us.
Not only is he a musician himself, but he's a director, he's a coach, and has traveled the continent, especially around the topic of the music business in Africa.
We are still doing the tour around Africa. We've done Namibia, we've done Kenya, we're looking at other countries this year and beyond.
We recently celebrated Fela Kuti's receiving an award 30 years after he has passed on. What does that say to you about the space at which African music is globally?
You see, I like it when you talk about guys like Fela Kuti because he broke all odds. Fela has a song of 24, 27 minutes, one song, and we all listen to it from the start to the end. That type of music or that style of music is dying down a little bit, you know, because we are trying to imitate the Western world the whole time. But they didn't go according to the Western world and their rules. They broke all the rules, and that's why today we can still call his name.
Is that what your masterclass on the business of music in Africa is about, breaking all rules and making sure that we remain timeless.
Exactly. It covers all those angles, you know, because the thing is, music is going to be part of us forever, whether we like it or not. You know, it's been there for centuries. I'm sure even the slaves, when they were taken on the ships, that's the only weapon they had. You know, they would sing their hearts out on, even in those chains, you know, and right now we are all enjoying some of the things, some of the bones that they were using to make music and the sounds that we don't have today in our music. I believe that there should be authenticity in whatever we do as Africans.
And on that musical note, that's where we leave it here from this edition of Unwrap Africa. We're back with you 8 p.m. next Sunday right here on SABC News. Stay with SABC News. Bye-bye.